Good morning, everybody. Jose is a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 80 miles an hour. We will talk a lot more about that coming up in just a few minutes. I did want to talk about the fog, though. It is quite thick out there. I was walking in my car in the parking lot earlier, could barely see it from the door out to the parking lot. So that just shows you how some of the visibility is not good. So keep that in mind if you're out there driving early. This is the scene from Newport. Not much of a scene. You can barely see the boats in the background because of the fog. Not so bad here from the hurricane barrier in Providence. This is often a spot here along 195 where things can really go downhill when we have fog around, but not too bad from that perspective. We take you higher up from our city camera. You can see that deck of clouds covering the building tops here. And our visibility is along the south coast, 0.3 in Newport, 0.3 New Bedford, 0.8 in Westerly. And that's why we have a dense fog advisory in effect until 8 o'clock in the morning. Even for places like Providence and East Providence, not technically in this advisory area, be mindful there could be some poor visibility. All right, now let's talk about Jose. Here's what we know right now. No matter what happens with this track, ocean impacts are likely. We're talking about beach erosion, rip currents, some pretty big waves. Definitely a dangerous situation if you plan on going out in the water. What's uncertain? Well, still the exact track. And that exact track, we're basically talking about the center of Jose. That will determine what happens on land. But it's really the land issues, whether we get gusty winds, a lot of rain, or if we just get some breezes and partly sunny skies. That is all in play right now as we continue to track the path of Jose. If Jose were to make a bigger impact, it would be Tuesday into Wednesday with some rain and wind. And obviously those effects over the ocean start a little bit earlier than that, as they often do with these storms. Could even see some pretty big swells late tonight into tomorrow, though those bigger waves do not arrive until Tuesday or Monday night. All right, here's Jose. Winds of 80 miles an hour, a healthy looking storm. We've been kind of fluctuating between a tropical storm and a hurricane the past 24 hours. And those technicalities really don't matter right now because it's still a long way from us. And what we really need to pay attention to here is what we call the cone of uncertainty. That's as we look at the forecast and it shows you all the potential areas for the path to go. So you can see 80 miles an hour movement right now to the northwest, but we do expect it to eventually turn to the north. And the official forecast keeps it as a Category 1 hurricane. Definitely some pretty big surf along the outer banks of the Carolinas. And then it does turn here to the north and east. The question is, how quickly does it make that turn? If it slows down a little bit and turns a little bit more to the north and west, and that's potentially in the cards because you can see that cone does go all the way to the west to New York City. So this would be our worst case scenario if it went just to our west. This track right here, that's not great because we do get the beach erosion, big waves, some gusty winds, potentially some power outages, but it's just not nearly as bad as if it were to go to our west. So it's simply a situation we need to watch carefully as a lot still needs to be ironed out with the forecast. We look at our spaghetti models. That basically shows us what all the different computer models think about the storm. And you can see generally the track is to the east, but there are a few solutions which still bring it to the west. That's why we're watching this very, very carefully. Still a little bit of concern it could drift a little further to the west and bring in a more serious situation here. We know we're getting the big waves no matter where it goes. This is Monday into Tuesday. You can see the green representing the potential of 6 to 10 foot waves. And so that's where we know our impacts will be, especially at our south-facing beaches. We're talking places in Narragansett, Westerly, obviously Block Island, out towards Cape Cod and Nantucket. And it's in Nantucket and the Outer Cape, which right now has the highest risk of seeing some more serious impacts from the storm just because of the track. So scenario 1, this would be the not great scenario to see heavy rain, strong winds, the potential of some power outages all through our viewing area. Scenario 2 would be the better case where we actually would stay dry. We'd get breezy, but it'd be kind of more of a grazing from that storm. So it's all stuff we need to watch here over the next several days. Looking at our 7-day Futurecast, you can see we get to around 80 today. So I'm expecting this fog to burn off quickly, although some of the haze and fog can linger a bit longer at the south coast and our beaches. But our weather locally, Julian, actually looking pretty good the next couple days, but that humidity will be sticking around, and obviously we'll continue to keep you updated on Jose.
Not letting go of summer just yet, Pete.
Yep.
Thank you. Covering New England this morning.